What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video on Fantasy Football Scout for triple game week 35. Gianni is on a free hit, so we're going to get to that in a minute. We're also going to look at game week 34, which we're going to brush over nice and quick. There's one particular question that Gianni knows is coming that I'm going to ask. But before we get into that, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm all right until you just mentioned that last game week. I had absolutely forgotten about Gareth Bale, the guy that ruined my weekend. So yeah, over to you with the question, Andy.
Yeah, let's just get into it, right? So this is the team, 33, 4-point hit, so 29 total. Last week, you said, you said whoever I bring in, I'm going to captain, right? Which I think you did, right? Did you bring in Kane?
I did bring Kane in, yeah.
But you said you're going to do Fernandes to Bale. You need the differential because of the rank. He's like, I've just got to go for it now. What happened?
I spoke all week about Bale. Okay, no excuses. It's a bad call. But there were two reasons why I didn't go Bale when I ordinarily would have. Reason number one, I always post my team on Twitter through FPL Diary at about 5 p.m. before a 6:30 deadline or a 6 o'clock deadline, whatever. And because of the social media boycott, that team was never posted. It was never locked in. With the locked in emoji, the team reveal thing, it wasn't done that week. So because of that, it got to, what time was the deadline? 6:30, yeah.
6:30,
so
yeah.
It got to 6 o'clock and I was thinking, I can actually change my team for once. I can never do this at 6 o'clock because I've always posted it and I forget about it. But I actually had time to tinker and I was at my laptop and I was actually at 5:30. I had an hour and I was like, I'm going to do a little bit of tinkering. So it led to tinkering and then I made those changes. The other reason that I did it was probably just fear. Like it was probably the fear of not owning Kane, despite knowing that I wanted Bale. And there was a way of getting Bale and Kane in really easily with a -4, but it meant selling Vardy. And I don't want Vardy moving forward. And I knew this week I'd be free hitting, so I didn't need him. But I really liked that Southampton game and I just couldn't sell Vardy. So no, look, it was a dreadful shout. I'm delighted to see so many followed my lead on that and did go Bale. I got so many DMs. Oh, sorry. The social media boycott definitely had something to do with it, right? Like it was a big factor, but the only person to blame is myself, and I knew it was going to happen. He's absolutely banged, and I called it as soon as Mason got the job. Week before he banged, didn't he? Yeah.
It was. I was gutted for you because I don't usually check anyone's team, but I was watching the game and obviously I saw him score and then I saw him score again. I was like, Jesus Christ! So I checked your team. I was like, whoa, what has happened? And I messaged you on WhatsApp. I said, where is Bale? Which I don't usually do. Like I said, I don't usually check people's teams halfway through the week, but I just remembered last week you talking about him so much. To be fair, right, this is one of those times where, it's super annoying, but I mean. If you came on last week and said, I'm bringing Harry Kane in for Sheffield United at home and I'm going to captain him, I mean, it's not exactly the craziest decision in the world, is it? Like, most of us went for him. I don't think he necessarily played badly, but just the way everything happened, like, hardly anything went through. Like, he never, from memory, I did watch the game, but I'm trying to think back to it. He didn't ever really have like a massive chance, I would say, in the box.
No.
A few blocked shots, but it just wasn't the game for him. And it's not like Bale plays, Kane doesn't do well, because when Bale scored before, I think it was against Palace, Kane scored twice, didn't he? So it's just one of those games.
I think he scored an offside goal in the first 5-10 minutes. Son put the ball in, it was off, clearly off. So yeah, nothing to complain about. Worst thing about that move, Andy, was it was obviously the hits I took, but also I sold Ollie Watkins for Kane. Kane came in for Watkins, and Watkins got 8 points. And then in 36, he's got a nice fixture against Palace, I think it is. So all in all, with Kane's 4 points and what I would have got from Bale's 42, plus the hits, plus the Watkins 8, I think I'm 55 points down. That's depressing.
Oh, God,
55
don't
points.
think about that. Don't.
I know, as if I worked. So I worked it out, and it was 55, I think it was. But one thing I haven't done is looked at my rank, and I know it's going to be on screen now. Don't even tell me, Andy.
Okay.
I don't want to know. I've genuinely not looked at it. But I am hoping for a green this week. Things have got to be brighter, right?
Yeah, let's get on to the free hit, because that's most interesting. I mean, looking at your team, it's not going to be the worst team to come back to in 36 either. So you'll probably be fine for that. We'll talk about that next week anyway. But yeah, more exciting stuff. Let's get on to the free hit. Now, I'm going to say straight away, right, I like this. I mean, I'm on a free hit too, so my draft is similar-ish. There's not too many differences, to be honest. But surely you have to find a way to not play Mitchell. You need to find some money somewhere. You're not tempted with that?
I think that'll be the common response when people see my team and see Mitchell. But my argument to them is, but if you're on a free hit, you might have Guaita or you might have Scott Dan or Joel Ward. So why not Mitchell?
But do you think he'll start twice? That's because I know Van
Yeah.
Arnold. He's been starting loads. I know he missed the last
Yeah.
game, but he has been starting a lot.
Yeah, he did. He has been. And, we didn't see Mitchell starting against City, did we? We didn't expect him to. He was probably Palace's best player versus Man
Hodgson
City.
did talk him up, I think, afterwards. Yeah.
Did he?
Praised.
Yeah,
I think it was afterwards. Yeah.
Probably was. I mean, I saw Palace fans on Twitter saying he was the best player. I watched the game and I thought he was impressive. They kept City out for the first hour, didn't they? But no, look, I mean, Van Aanholt, amongst 11 other senior players or something, are out of contract. Why give Van Aanholt minutes when we need to know if this kid's going to be in the starting 11 next year, when we need to know the value of this kid if we want to go and do a Wan-Bissaka with him and sell him or whatever? I think Mitchell gets minutes, and I think the fact that there's he definitely starts one. Does he start two? I think he does. What is it? 3-4 days between fixture? I can't see why Roy would completely change it. I'm not 100% sold this is going to be my team, and Mitchell is one of those places up for grabs, but I am 0.0 in the bank. Mitchell allows more big hitters. I can't go for Ward, for example. Oh, by the way, Klein is back in training and Ward might not be nailed. I did want Maguire in that spot and Guaita in goal. I can't afford that unless I take someone out, and I really like the look of my team.
Yeah, I mean, you have got quite a few big hitters in there. So you've got Vardy, Salah, Fernandes as the three, and you've got Rashford, who's obviously more expensive than the likes of Greenwood, etc. I guess just before we get into the rest of the players, if you were going to upgrade Mitchell, I guess two questions. One, who's the player that you're probably looking at? And two, where's the downgrade coming from?
Yeah, so the only way I can get money out of this team to still be very happy with it, and I think I would be happy if I made this move, Rashford down to Greenwood allows me a lot more money, right? So that saves a couple of million. That could allow Mitchell to come out. It could even change the formation to 3 at the back and then Zaha comes in. Or I do the swap where I go Mitchell out for Maguire, Henderson out for Guaita. So yeah, that's on the cards. There's probably 8 safe spots in that team, and the spots that aren't safe are the goalkeeper, Mitchell, and Rashford. And a lot of it comes down to, am I willing to go Rashford down to Greenwood? And which seems crazy because Greenwood's 2 million cheaper and he's got the much better stats. But last night's Europa League game changed my thinking there.
Go on. So obviously last night Rashford, and obviously now we've seen the Europa League, we've got basically all the info we're going to get now, pretty much before the deadline, which is obviously a few hours away once this goes out. So Rashford didn't start last night. So, I mean, I would put his chances of starting against Villa at about 99.99% at this point. It feels like he's definitely going to get it. With Greenwood, I personally still think there's a very good chance he starts Villa. But obviously, if someone gave me £100 and said put your money on Rashford or Greenwood, it's going to be Rashford for that game. What do you think about minutes after that? Do you think Rashford will get enough to warrant the extra cash over Greenwood?
Yeah, I think they probably do both start against Villa. Like, you're right. I'd have Rashford at 99%, Greenwood at 70% maybe, with Cavani at 30. It's one of them. But I think over the 3 fixtures, I'm giving Rashford 60 minutes extra, an extra hour of football. I think, despite the stats saying Greenwood's been the better of the 2 recently, that extra hour, especially if it's coming in that Villa game, which is where we see more goals than the other 2, then I think I just like that for minutes. And that was purely driven by last night with Rashford getting 15 and Greenwood getting 90, right? So Rashford should be fresh, and I think he's needed a rest. So it's probably good for him with that Liverpool postponement, of which he would have started. And then Roma last night, he's effectively had a week off. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at. Rashford just gets slightly more minutes, but I don't dislike the idea of either of them at all. But I like the fact Rashford will end up being more of a differential too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think Greenwood would definitely be. He's just easier to get to, isn't he, for people because of the price. In turn, we'll come straight on to captaincy before we go into some of the others again. Obviously, underneath the player, the 3 fixtures looks great. I think everyone who's sensible knows that the most we're probably going to get is 2 fixtures plus minutes. I think Fernandes, out of all the attackers, does have the best chance of starting 3 times. But for any player in the world, it's difficult to play in that short amount of time, such physical games, etc. Because of that, do you have any inclination to swap to like a Salah or a Vardy who okay, they've got one less game, but minutes. I mean, they're probably going to get less minutes overall, but they are more likely to get. Sorry, they're going to get 2 starts as well, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
There's a good chat. Basically, I guess the short question is Fernandes, Salah, Vardy are probably all likely to get 2 starts.
Yeah.
You got anything thoughts for changing?
It's such a tough one because if Salah or Vardy or Iheanacho, if Leicester or Liverpool had 2 really good fixtures, I'd absolutely be going there. They've both got 1 good fixture and then 1 really tricky fixture. So because for that reason, I'm just playing the minutes and going, Fernandes will get more minutes than these guys. Therefore, I'm giving the armband to him. But yeah, if Leicester play Newcastle and then instead of United have Burnley, then you go there. Or if Salah has Southampton and then instead of United another mid-table team, you definitely go there. But it just hasn't fallen that way. So I'm happy owning those guys. But yeah, I'm not really considering captaincy anywhere other than United. And by the way, like the only players I think that have got a probably 80 to 90% chance of starting all 3 games, I would go Hendo, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. They're the only 3 that I would say are likely or very likely to. I can't think. I'd say Bruno is probably 50% likely to start all 3, right? So yeah, it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I was trying to earlier on, just before we came on, I was trying to put together my predicted lineups for the 3 games, and Leicester just feels like it's prime for rotation. And I was saying this to you, not because it's less important than the rest, just simply because of the rest time. It's like it's just impossible to play the same players 3 times in that short space of time. And you're right. I think Wan-Bissaka potentially. I think Maguire does. I don't know. I've got a good feeling, not a good feeling, but I've got a feeling he's gonna start 3 times potentially. But you're right. We're just guessing. We don't know for sure. Looking elsewhere, obviously you got Castagna in there. One other defender that's quite popular, who I think you've got in your main team, is Luca Dean.
Yeah.
But do you prefer Castagna? Like, okay, I know there's obviously you've got nothing in the bank, but let's say you had the cash, would you be tempted to go for Dean instead?
No, Castagna was kind of one of my first names on there. Again, I like the fact he'll be playing against a United team that could be weaker. So I do think, like, yes, the United fixture is not great, and I don't want to give captaincy to Vardy or Iheanacho still because of it. It's still a nicer fixture than it would be because there'll be so much rotation in that game. So no, Luca Dean, I was really surprised, Andy. I like bookies odds for clean sheets, and that you'll see there's various people that post them on Twitter. And I was looking at the bookies odds. Everton clean sheet odds was something like 27% and 25% versus Leicester, which was something like 48% and 25%. So just looking at the bookies odds for clean sheets, like Castagna has got like a considerably better chance of a clean sheet than Luca Dean. And I think equal amount of attacking potential there.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I didn't want to give my point of view first. I wanted to see what you thought, but I agree. I think for Everton, like West Ham, because of no Rice, and Villa, just the way they're playing at the moment, it's probably a good attacking fixture. But they're both quite good attacking teams themselves. So I agree. I think clean sheet potential, Castagna probably has it higher. And from an attacking point of view, recently especially, he's looked really good. I know it might change a little bit if he goes on the left and Pereira comes in, but yeah, I kind of agree with that, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know if Pereira's in my main team, as you know, Andy. I'm not sure he's going to start. I think he might just go same old. Thomas left, and although Thomas didn't have a great game, or if anyone comes in, it might be Albrighton. There's some training pictures from Leicester yesterday I posted on Twitter, and all the players you expect to be starting weren't wearing a bib. And then there was a few players wearing bibs, like randoms. And one of those players wearing a bib, I think it was blurry in the background. You only saw the back of him. I think it was Pereira wearing a bib. And all the usual suspects weren't. And I was just thinking, is he going to be benched again? Probably.
Yeah, I wonder if there's just something else going on there, because when he came back, obviously they managed him, which made sense because he was out for so long. And then it was like, well, he can't play games every 3 days. Yeah. But then he's not started the last 3 now. So there's I don't know if he's like, it's just like a reoccurrence or it's just, flared up. I don't know. But yeah, I think Castagna's nailed, right? We know he's going to start regardless. So yeah,
just hope it's on the right, because he is far more dangerous on the right. He's not the same player on the left, strangely, because he can kick with both feet. But
yeah. No, he's looked brilliant there. I guess, so you've mentioned Man United, obviously, it could be Maguire, could be Greenwood. For Liverpool, Robertson, Trent and Salah, have you considered any other Liverpool players at all? I mean, I guess Mane and Jota.
Yeah, Mane was in my first draft, and I know you were thinking Mane as well, Andy. And it came down to going, if I have Mane, I can't get near Vardy. And a shootout between the two, for me, it's Vardy all day long. So yeah, the idea of Mane went, and then I just went back to those beautiful times in years gone by when we could rely on Robbo and Trent to always get attacking returns, and just thought, what a nice differential owning the pair for 1 week only. So yeah, we know with Robbo and Trent they're going to play 90 both weeks. With Mane, we can't even bank on that at the moment, and with Jota, his ownership's going to be sky high because it's Jota. We saw he wasn't in the 11 to play United before the game was postponed. He's probably going to start one and not the other. He might even just come on as sub on both. And he's an explosive sub when he comes on. But yeah, not considering someone that's not guaranteed minutes when I know I can go reliable Trent, reliable Robbo.
Yeah, they just seem too good to turn down. They're so strong. I got to be honest. I really want to try and pick teams apart, but it's really difficult when I'm on a free hit and so many of the players I have the same. Like other players that I've thought about is obviously with the strikers. I mean, you got Vardy, Calvert-Lewin, and Iheanacho. It's very popular front three. Obviously, we talked earlier about if you wanted to upgrade Mitchell, probably Rashford. I think probably Vardy, if you had to, is like the second choice to downgrade. Have you considered any other strikers like Benteke? Obviously got good fixtures. Watkins as well, someone we mentioned you've just taken out. Any consideration for them?
No, the only attacking player I've considered that I've not mentioned so far, Andy, is a Chelsea attacker. Now, this isn't a Chelsea striker, it's a Chelsea midfielder.
Havertz?
Yeah, no, actually really differential, really rogue. And this is purely because I'm very confident he starts against Man City, and that's Pulisic. Now, it's a real shame that Pulisic will start against Man City, but might not Arsenal. If the fixtures were the other way around and Arsenal was the first fixture, I'd be playing Pulisic.
He didn't start, did he?
Didn't start in the Champions League, didn't start the game before that in the Premier League, but was really good in the Champions League first leg, was brilliant when he came on in the second leg, but has had a rest. And the only reason he didn't start last weekend in the Premier League was Tuchel said he's below the line, he needs a rest. Now, Havertz did amazingly well. We know Mount is nailed, so there's competition there. Whether Pulisic gets in the first 11 at the moment, probably not. We got to think the best 11 is the 11 that played against Real Madrid, started in the second leg. But I do think Pulisic gets 120 minutes minimum across these two games. It's just a real shame that probably 90 or 70, 80 of those minutes is against Man City. Because I like the idea of going a bit differential on a Chelsea player. And again, maybe I should be considering Mendy, and he is... or Rudiger, because I think those two start both those games. I know it's Man City and Arsenal, but the bookies odds go about 25% clean sheet against City and around 50% clean sheet against Arsenal.
Chelsea's
That's
defense
not bad.
is so good. Yeah, no, I agree. I think I've probably overlooked Chelsea defense, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, when you're starting to put in players like Trent, Robbo, Maguire, and Shaw, it's like there is stiff competition. But I agree. I think goalkeeper in particular, a lot of us are going, or a lot of people are looking at Guaita, but there are other options out there. And if they get two starts, then Arsenal. The season's done for Arsenal now. Really, they're probably not going to get into Europe through the league, you would imagine. So I agree. On Chelsea attackers, what about any love for Werner?
I just can't deal with the stress of watching him. And I've been stung too many times. I think I kept him for the first 11 games. Ridiculous. I captained him loads as well. But no, for me, it's a straight shootout between, if you want a Chelsea attacker, Havertz, Mount, Pulisic. The beauty of Mount is we know he'll start both games, but he's less explosive than the other two, who are more advanced and will probably get more shots on target. It's a bit of a... I haven't seen barely any free hit teams with a Chelsea attacker, and I'm slightly surprised I haven't. But then seeing my team and going, how can I fit one in? I get it.
I thought about it. At one point I had Havertz in, but my worry is just the same as you. Like, I feel like the players you think are the strongest will then probably start against Man City.
Yeah.
And then it's just you hope that they start versus Arsenal as well. And if they don't, then you've bought in a player for Man City, which is like, I know a few people in my comment section on YouTube were saying, you're writing off Chelsea. It's not at all. Like, Man City are just a tough team. It's going to be a tough game for Man City as well. Like, that's going to be, if you're going to bet on a low scoring game this week, it's Man City Chelsea, right?
Yeah.
Don't see many goals in it from either side. It's going to be really intriguing, actually, how both teams set up, considering they're going to play each other in a few weeks, right? So, no, I agree. I've tried to look at differentials this week, but I always come back to the point that using the free hit in a double game week is kind of differential enough.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about how many of these players are in people's teams right now, okay, Castagne and Iheanacho are quite popular, Salah and Fernandez, Trent maybe, but the combo of having all these is not very likely. So Chelsea. I mean, who else has even got Southampton? I wouldn't go near Southampton right now. Crystal Palace we've talked about already.
Arsenal.
Arsenal. Do you know what? If I could guarantee Aubameyang got 2 starts, I would consider him. But I just think after last night, what is morale going to be like? Who's going to start against West Brom? Will Arteta now, play Martinelli or whoever just to get a look in and see for next season now? It's a
really tough one. I'm with you on the differentialness. I really wanted some, but you used a key word there, Andy. The combination of having them all, and not just the combination of having them all, but the combination of having a couple in the same team. Like you will have a Greenwood or a Rashford with a Bruno. So, or you'll have a Vardy with an Iheanacho, and you just hope that if and when there's goals there, one gets the assist, the other gets the goal. That's your differential in itself, right?
I agree. I'm just trying to think, who are the other teams? Yeah, that's it, isn't it? That's all the teams. I mean, Everton, I guess if you're looking for a midfielder, a cheapish one that's not Mount, it's not Zaha, then there's Sigurdsson.
Yeah.
But then you're doubling up on Everton attack, and I just... I don't know. Leave us a comment below, right? Do a better job of ripping the team apart than me.
Yeah.
Who is being missed? I do think it's difficult because there are, 6 players are always going to come from Liverpool and Man United. So you've only got 5 to play for. And even then, Iheanacho will be in everyone's teams too. So that's already 7 players, I feel like, kind of covered. So it looks good. It'd be interesting to see what you do. I've got a feeling you might try and find the money to upgrade Mitchell, but
I would love to, but I can't see who drops out. That's the problem. I mean, and maybe there's a slight formation change. I could go 3-4-3. I wanted Zaha, I'm not going to lie. Like Zaha against Sheffield United, Zaha end of season playing for a contract is always a very much better Zaha. But then you're backing a team that just don't score many goals. And you just think, if you're going to back Palace, should you go for one of their cheaper defenders rather than a £7 million midfielder that isn't consistent? So it's a tough one. And then Chelsea, just going back to very quickly, we can't forget the game against Arsenal, which is the game we like. One, we just don't know who's going to start. And 2, that's because the FA Cup finals on the Saturday against Leicester. So it's like 3 days. And we know it'll be the full strength team versus Leicester. So really tricky one this week.
I mean, really quickly. Okay, so who's going to start versus Leicester? Do you think Pulisic will start? Werner, Havertz? I mean, which of those? Mount's going to start in the front 3, isn't he?
I think Pulisic starts both midweek, both Premier League games in this double, which is why I liked him more than the others. I don't think Havertz will start one and he'll play cup final, you'd think. The cup final 11 will probably be the 11 that started the Real Madrid second leg, right? So you got to think that Werner will get a rest somewhere. Havertz will get a rest somewhere. I don't know if Mason Mount gets a rest. The guy Tuchel doesn't like him missing any minutes. Doesn't even like subbing him off. He was shot in the 80th minute against Real Madrid and he was still going and still somehow and got the tap in. Pulisic I really like. Like if I was saying to those watching this, if you liked my punt on Bale last week and you want to go with a punt again this week, Pulisic could be a brilliant differential.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a big fan of Pulisic. I really wanted him to be the man this year, and it just, for various reasons, just didn't happen. But that's a nice punt. All right, we'll leave it there. Obviously, you'll post your team on Twitter when it's finalised and locked in anyway, so make sure to go and follow Gianni there. Give it a like and hit subscribe if you're new around here as well. Thanks for joining me this week.
Thank you, mate. All good. Look forward to tinkering later. There'll be definitely a couple of changes, I think.
Yeah, and we'll be back here next week to discuss the aftermath of Gameweek 35. I mean, you got to be like me. If neither of us get a green arrow with this, then it's just time to give up because it'd be ridiculous in a double game week. And then we'll start planning ahead for the last 3 game weeks of the season. So we'll leave it there. Give it a like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you soon.